is a movie, and it started now. Forget about whatever financial disasters you've had, personal failures, relationship failures. What would the hero of your life's movie do right now?
Hello and welcome to Dad's Dating After Divorce, the only podcast that admits a Roth IRA. Let's try that again. I was so excited about this one too. That's why I got tripped up. We're just not starting off good. The only podcast that admits a Roth IRA is a better wingman than a leather jacket. My name is Gene Sandval, and I am the founder. I wrote that one just for you, Dallas. I'm the founder of The Divorced Advocate. My co-host, as always, the incomparable Dallas Bluth of Black Box Dating. And today we've got a special guest. Very excited to introduce. He is actually the person responsible for this podcast and for Dallas and I meeting some time ago. Yeah. So if you stay till the end of the episode, we'll give you his contact information and you can send all of your gripes to him about our bad jokes and anything else. From leading Marines and veterans and training with Zen bunks to building data centers and navigating the ego traps of modern dating, our guest has seen it all. He's a therapist who's traded the clipboard for real-world scars, helping everyone from corporate CEOs to veterans finding their footing. Whether he's sailing New York Harbor or running barefoot through the Colorado foothills, he's on a mission to help you find joy in the chaos. Please welcome Rick Taylor. Hey, Rick.
Hi there. Hey, Jude.
Man, it's great to have you. So just so you know, you are the first guest that Dallas and I have had on. So I thought that was appropriate because you are the one that introduced Dallas and I a little over a year ago, I think now. And so yeah. I'm really excited to have you on, and I know Dallas is, and have some fun chatting.
Me too. I've been listening to some episodes. You guys sound like you've been doing this for decades. Like you should go on the road.
It feels like we've been doing it for decades.
Yeah, no doubt. Some days we just struggle through it. It's kind of like a marriage at this point, right, Dallas? Like, yeah, okay, we got through this day. We got through this episode. Okay, we'll go for another one. Let's do it. We re-up. We make that decision to love this podcast another week.
Right. Let me just ask, Jude, if you bring both a Roth IRA and a leather jacket to a date, do you get double points? Because I bring both
Dallas,
with me when I go.
I know, and that's why you've got it going on, my friend, and that's why I wrote that for you. I knew you were going to have a comment about the leather jacket. Because
you know me.
For those of you who don't know, Dallas has got a really cool leather jacket that he likes to wear out. So that's why I wrote that kind of tongue in cheek.
Is there such thing as a lucky shirt, lucky jacket, lucky socks for dating? Is that a thing, Dallas?
God, I hope not.
Stay tuned for the mid-roll. We'll be selling one for you.
Right. Black box stocks. Yeah. Get them while they're available. There is such a thing as wardrobe tracking in your dating. So guys have obviously their favorite shirts that they like to wear, and a lot of times guys want to make sure that they don't wear the same outfit with the same woman. So they will keep track, at least in the early stages, of what they've worn up to a certain point, so that they don't repeat themselves. I guess you could call those kind of lucky because they're their favorites. But I don't think we get to the gym locker room. I've been wearing these socks all season. Might work on the football field, not really going to work in the coffee shop and movie theater.
Okay. All right. First date wardrobe, second date wardrobe, third date, and then repeat, maybe. Something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man,
okay.
Well, I've never done that, Dallas. So maybe we need to do an episode on wardrobe planning. I mean, we did the wardrobe episode, but maybe first date, second date wardrobe planning. That would be some big detail for the dads listening here. Those are the guys that have really built the foundation and structure for moving forward, which leads us into what we're going to talk about today, which is building a foundation versus putting on a show during dating. And so dads listening, you guys, kind of when you get divorced, and one of the initial thoughts you have is, oh crap, like I'm in the dating world now, right? So there's this moment of panic maybe, and if any guy's going to be honest, he's going to say, yeah, I was like something like holy shit, or what the heck, or how am I going to do this, or like some kind of like reckoning. And so what we're going to dive into today is just kind of the thesis that there's all of this noise out there. There's game tactics, there's this and there's that. And what we want to talk about is why stability is so much more important than performance. So, let's just start out with some comments, and Dallas, if you'll just start us out with some comments around that and why that is really, really important. Then let's just dive into that, starting out with the performance trap kind of idea.
Well, if what you're focused on is your performance, you're kind of working from the outside in. What is my appearance? How funny am I? What are the reactions that I'm getting? And all this is a very external place. And you can't build from the outside in. You have to build from the inside out. When you start with a calm, cool, collected, grounded foundation, then your natural personality, your natural attractive qualities, your natural charm and charisma should emanate out from that place. And your performance in that way becomes grounded, it becomes connected, and really in a lot of ways it becomes a lot more quiet. And women want to warm up slowly to a guy. They don't want to like be jumping after, some kind of touchdown dance with a man. Most of the time, that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for a man who has been winning it over and over again from his core. So that's the difference between grounded and performative, and from my take. But Rick, what do you have to say, man? You're the guest. You're bringing a whole new voice to this table.
This is a great topic. So guys coming off a divorce have built some structure, especially if they have kids, a lot of structure. Kids take a lot of structure, and they've partnered with somebody to build that structure. And then they're going through divorce, which undoes all that structure. So they have to rebuild it themselves. And then they get back into dating. And I've done it. And there's a slow drift into rebuilding structure on my own without my partner. And depending on how the marriage was, or the relationship and the divorce, the saying goes, the divorce goes the way the marriage went. And so a lot of guys will come out of a relationship like that with basically no structure at all, because they've allowed their ex to build all of that for them. And other guys they have some structure, but they get back into dating thinking, I'm going to find another partner. They're probably not thinking this. This is very unconscious, but they're going to find another partner to help co-create new structure. But in the dating world, like you just said, Dallas, that's not how it happens. Women are looking for a guy who already has structure. And I have this saying that confidence is stability. Confidence is what stability looks like on the outside. So what we're really talking about, I mean, there's confidence on the surface, but underneath that is the stability. And so what I'm hearing to both of you kind of say is that without having that structure already designed in your life, having done that hard work, that basically you're just counting on something that is not authentically who you are, right? So, which is probably one of the reasons why so many guys get caught up. And I'll be honest, I was guilty of this as well. Everything that you guys just described was me post divorce. I did all the wrong stuff, started dating right away, like had done none of this foundational stuff. And what that led to was the performative stuff, thinking about game theory and reading about game theory and how to do this and how to do that. And like how many dates and until you do this and how long before you do that and all of that stuff. And none of that was authentically who I was, and didn't allow me the opportunity to bring out who I was, right? It was just me performing. So, the tactics, like we get all these tactics out here. And I know we do talk about tactics on our show here, but the tactics that we're talking about are really foundational to what you guys are describing there. So, let's just comment on some of the stuff that's out there that is,
I don't want to diminish all of it because there's a lot of truth in some of it. But if you're using it as this mask, as performative, then it doesn't, what you guys described, it doesn't allow who you are to shine through. And that's what you want, because otherwise you're just going to be finding people that do not fit. And that's what I have done for so long. It was the wrong fit because it wasn't me who was there. It was me performing whoever it was, like whatever I was trying to do at the time.
Yeah. Dallas, this is your thing. What do you see?
So one of I get the two top questions that I get is, where do I meet women? And then what do I say what do I say to a woman when I want to approach her when I meet her? And that second one is literally they're asking for a script. There's this idea that there are some magic words out there that we say and her pants just fall off and we get to take her home and have fun with her. Yeah. And it's a complete illusion, the fact that exists. However, a lot of what I actually provide for guys is helping them articulate their thoughts in ways that are effective. So what's interesting, and I will share with them after I listen to them, I understand where they are and I figure out, what the constraint is that they're trying to get past. I'll ask them, hey, is this kind of what you're trying to say? And they'll go, yes, that's it. That's exactly what I'm shooting for. Yeah. And then I will break apart what I said and why it's effective. And then what I'm doing is I'm showing them the principle underneath the script. And the trick is you learn the principles. That's something that we can learn externally. That's where the tradition of older men, I wish it was still around, to help the younger men understand the principles so that we know how to be effective in a masculine way. But then we have to add the individual identity component, which is, what do I actually want to say? What is my voice? And that's what takes it from a performance to an adventure, to an inhabited, a lived-in experience that we're inviting the woman to share in with us.
Yeah. Hey, Rick. So let me ask you this from a therapeutic mindset. Wouldn't this just create more anxiety? Because if you're just trying to perform something, if the performance doesn't go well, basically, then you're going to be disappointed, right? So this isn't a strong foundation working backwards from all these theories and ideas to trying to build the foundation, right?
Yeah. Stage fright. It's like you're out on stage and you've got your script and holy crap, am I going to be able to perform this? And you've got Dallas in the back of your mind, like, what did he say? And so, and,
actually, what's in the back of their mind is, what would Dallas do? Which I do. Well, actually, which isn't a bad thing, because in a sense, I'm a role model for them. They're wondering, what would he do in this situation? Not what did Dallas say to do in this situation.
Right.
So it's not a memorized, performed thing. It's a principle thing, and you're trying to find it and going, oh, he would tell the truth and spin it in a positive way. How do I do that? What do I say to follow that principle?
Yeah. So there's this transition that happens. And so you're working with guys, Dallas, who are kind of at the beginning of that transition. They haven't quite got the language in them. And so they're learning the language. Yeah. I'm working with guys who are in it for the long haul, and they're developing their stability in their health, their body, in their finances, in their ability to build relationships. And so little by little, they start to develop this just inner confidence, so they don't really have to have a script. They just be themselves. Mm-hmm. And it's that transition that sometimes it takes a month, sometimes it takes 10 years. And because there is some self-esteem stuff going on. Well, what if I'm not good enough? That's the big one. I'm not worthy. And especially depending on how that previous relationship went before the divorce, especially at the tail end of any relationship as it's unwinding, there's a lot of conflict, there's a lot of harsh words, and those are the last things that in our last relationship, that's how it went. And so the residue of that previous relationship are still sticking around for guys who are getting back into dating and they've just come off a divorce. I don't know what you guys think about this. What do you think about how long should someone wait before they start dating?
Jude's got his rules, so I'll let him speak to that.
Okay.
Well, so what I've found personally, but also with the guys I work with, is that getting through at least the seasons post-divorce, like once the divorce is finalized, everything's done, you've got parenting plans, you've got the financial structure is in, you kind of have an idea of the lay of the land now. Get through full seasons, all 4 seasons once, because it allows you the opportunity to settle into the new circumstances. It allows your kids to settle into the new circumstances, you to get a new rhythm, create a new rhythm. There's so much work that needs to be done with the kiddos and providing a place that is safe and secure for them to be comfortable before one, being distracted, or 2, introducing somebody new. And I speak this from doing the absolute opposite. Honestly, and I look back and there were benefits to what happened, and I see why it happened. But if I could go back and I could tell my divorcing self what to do and what might be better for me, that would be the suggestion that I would make. And then start with what we're talking about, which is starting to build that foundation, because what happens during divorce is just chaos, right? Like the chaos factors, your routine is a mess, and your confidence has taken a hit. Every time we have a relationship that is not successful, whether it's dating, whether it's a divorce, we take a little bit of a confidence hit, right? We kind of think about stuff. We think, well, what did I do wrong? Is there something I could do better? If you're healthy, if you're not healthy, you spiral into much worse self-talk. But there's emotional volatility too, especially during a divorce, because there's so much complexity, and you're going through the grieving process for so many different things, which is one thing I don't think. One of the things that the divorce dads that I talked to don't know, I didn't know. You're divorcing. You're during your divorce, you're not only going through grieving the end of the relationship, but you're grieving the change of circumstances with your kids. You're grieving maybe selling a house that you built. You're grieving a different lifestyle. Like, you're grieving all these different things.
You're also grieving the loss of the future.
Right.
Yeah. You had a picture of how this was going to go, and you have to let go of that dream. Like, that's a huge thing to grieve as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure.
So
I did the same thing, Jude, after my divorce, started dating. And what you just said, if I could go back and tell myself, don't do that, I'd still probably have done it anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Teenage Jude has not changed much in 40 years, so trust me, I know. Yeah. And I think it seems like it's an easy confidence hit. Like, I'm going to go date, I'm going to be successful, and it's going to boost me up. This is what I need. And so I have a lot of guys who do that, and they come back and they're like, I don't think I'm going to date for a while. And maybe everybody has to go through it a little bit.
Well, so Jude, you mentioned that every time we are in a relationship and then it fails, we take a hit. And I completely believe that's true. I believe one of our best, I don't know if it's defenses, but one of our healthiest ways to unhook ourselves from those peaks and valleys, the lows and highs that we hit emotionally, is to try to feed and nurture and maintain free agency. Because a lot of the times when we go into that relationship and we're like, oh, we're building something, we're doing this, we've found each other, there's huge advantages to when you're building something together. Absolutely. Sure. But when you're like, I found my other half. Well, a lot of times we abandon free agency in that moment. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But when we maintain free agency and we go, well, is this the right woman for me? I've been dating her for a month now. I've got the hots for her. She's got the hots for me. But I'm going to continue to ask myself, is this the right woman for me? When I maintain that independence and free agency, that helps to level out the peaks and the valleys that the emotions hit. On the high level, you're enjoying it, but you're also realizing, okay, just because we're having like an amazing honeymoon month doesn't mean that we're necessarily, set for life with each other. And when things fail, it's not that I'm a complete failure, because because the relationship failed. It's like, no. I was still getting to know her, and that maintaining that free agency is a huge component to that.
Yeah, and when you say free agency, that means that you haven't committed yet to a committed relationship. Is that what you're saying, or how do you describe that? Because free agency, Greg Adams talks about the free agent life and stuff like that. So define for us what you mean in free agency.
Free agency for me really means sidestepping dependency.
Okay.
So it doesn't necessarily, you can be committed, but I would say you still want to maintain free agency in that commitment.
Yeah, and we're not talking about so this is more of an intellectual free agency and talking about agency first and being a free agent, not like free agency like in the sports where I'm a free agent and I'm looking to just do my own thing, get as much money, get as many women as possible. That's kind of the mindset in the dating world, is the free agent life and mindset. So that's why I wanted to be clear with the listeners, because they hear us talking about free agency. It's not the free agency that you're kind of hearing out there. It's your agency, and making sure that you're not bound, that you are creating your own life and who you are, to bring to that relationship something that you can bring together, right?
Yeah, and Rick, I think this would be a perfect time to talk about one of the diagrams that you shared with us, because you've got this awesome one where you have, the massive arrow of movement. And I assume this is more or less the masculine journey, the hero's journey. You have this huge arrow of movement, and then you have a whole array of directions you can go in. And then there's the sort of sunset happy ending destination, that we're all headed for.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a diagram for the masculine free agent. And thank you, Jude, for clarifying that. This isn't just I'm going to go anywhere, do whatever I want, Cavalier style. No. This is free agency, as in I need to find movement and direction and destination for myself as a man. But Rick, it's your diagram. Please.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. Well, so masculinity, the way I should say up front, it's not a clinical diagnosis. It's just a bundle of behaviors, and we put a label on it.
Can we make this official somehow? Because I feel like, honestly, that's lacking.
I know. Clinical, people. Anyway, so
that's a whole nother episode, Dallas.
I'm sorry.
Masculinity's got three parts. Masculinity is always moving. And I should say, most men are mostly masculine with a little bit of femininity, and most women are feminine with a little bit of masculinity. So masculinity wants to be moving, and a lot of men, so masculinity is moving in a direction, like you said, Dallas, for a particular outcome or some purpose. A lot of guys their purpose has been sabotaged, or it's been given away, or it's been manipulated away somehow. And they're still moving because masculinity wants to move. And so they're often moving in circles, and it feels very stuck. And so when I see a lot of guys, they come out of divorce and they've not allowed, but the arrangement in their partnership is that their partner also does a lot of the purpose building and creating that purpose. And so they find themselves after divorce circling. They're still moving, but they're moving in circles.
Chasing their tail a little.
That's
maybe?
That's a good analogy. Yeah.
Yep. It's very common. And that's why it can take a month to 10 years is to find that purpose. So getting back to, what does that look like? I typically will tell guys, that start with your kids.
You don't just pick one destination, one purpose.
Hey, dads, this is Jude taking a quick break from this week's episode to encourage you to do two things. One, if you were like me going through your divorce, you had no idea what you were doing. That's why I founded the Divorced Advocate, to help you strategically get through your divorce. And if you have some challenges post-divorce, to remedy those. I'm going to encourage you to go to thedivorcedadvocate.com. Take the weekend visitor risk assessment. It's going to give you an idea of where you're at and kind of what things are going on and how we might be able to help you out with anything. The second is, if you're ready to up your dating game, go to blackboxdating.com, get involved in Dallas's community. I've been dating now post-divorce for 13 years, and every week that I chat with Dallas and we record this episode, I learn something new. There's absolutely nobody better that's going to help you find that relationship and get back in the dating game than Dallas. Check out all that he's got to offer at blackboxdating.com. All right, back to the show.
There's the big overall purpose. It's I want to be a millionaire by the time I'm 30, or I was going to say, if you've got kids, let your kids be the anchor. Let your kids be the core, and you build from that. So the next one is, so after your kids, it's your body, whether that means getting back in the gym or just some sort of exercise and eating right, because those two things, maybe not kids so much, but definitely working on your body, you control that. That's that agency that you're talking about, is you start with things that you can control and things that you are absolutely committed to. So your kids and your body. And then probably
I would add one more.
After that.
Yeah, financial, right? Exactly. Kind of the three pillars. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Dude, were you reading my notes? You're kind of like Dallas. You guys are prophetic in how you put this together. But I mean, I joke with that, but it's true though, because we've got the benefit of being down the road here a little bit and having done this and also do this work every single day to understand these three pillars. But it is incredibly important to focus on those things. So, Dallas, if you're, as opposed to working backwards, if you're starting with, and Rick, maybe you can comment on this, if you're starting with this in that time post-divorce, these three pillars, what are you doing physically, financially, and as a parent to build that foundation?
Right.
Go ahead.
That's a question.
Yeah, that's a question. What specifically, like, what are you? So it's, we're saying, okay, you need to pay attention to physical, financial, and parental, but like, what do you need to be doing with those in order to build that foundation?
So if confidence is what stability looks like from the outside, it's about creating stability. Get your kids, get the custody plan down and locked in, and pick them up, drop them off at practice and school and all that stuff, and come up with a way to talk to your ex in a way that's respectful, and the kids see it and they're like, okay, at least they're talking to each other. If you can, not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
Finances are the kind of thing that has multiple dependencies on other people. It's usually a job or something like that. You don't have quite as much agency there. But it is, you need to have an income. But the core one is your kids and your body. And for people who are just starting out, I highly recommend start with your body, because as soon as you start working on it, the next day you feel it. You feel the acid in your muscles and you're like, oh yeah, okay. And you feel it. And that's what we're after. And working out on a regular basis or exercising starts to create a time-based structure. And that leads to confidence, and the confidence that you bring to dating eventually. So,
Rick, I love the word structure. I think structure is really where it's at. In the finances, that structure looks like a budget. You have your income side, you have your expenses side, and you want to make sure you've got something left over at the end of the month. That's a structure. When it comes to the workouts, going in regularity, consistency, that's what provides the structure. When it comes to the diet, I mean, for me, basically, you've got a calorie budget very similar to a dollar budget. There's a certain amount of calories that you burn with your active metabolic rate. You want to know what that is, and you want to start consuming at or maybe a little less than that to get yourself in the shape that you want. And then obviously with the children, you wanted the structure as well. When you exercise, when you provide and then follow an exercise structure within yourself as a man, and you do that consistently week after week, month after month, and that's part of who you are, and that's part of the heat and the basic fiber that you bring to a date, women are going to relax into it because you're structured. You have that masculine frame. You have this like, oh, he's solid, and your body shows it, and your pocketbook shows it, and your structure with your kids and your ex, it shows it. She's going to look at that and relax because she's like, good, I don't have to bring any structure to the table. This guy actually has a surplus of structure, And that means that as a woman, I can relax and be free. I can be more carefree. Don't have to worry about things as much. I can get in the passenger seat of the car and let him drive.
Yeah. And I want to draw the line between doing that post-divorce in your life for your kids, because you need to do that for your kids. Number one, right? That's a given. But that then translates into your dating life. So if you take this mindset, which is building that foundation first with your family for yourself, that will directly translate to being able to show that, like Rick talked about in the beginning, just the fact that you committed, that you had kids, like you've already, and that we've talked about in other episodes, Dallas, you've already got something built in there, guys. You just don't maybe know that you do have that, right? And I know a lot of guys listening are going, oh my God, like working out, and Dallas is talking about diet, and then I got to exercise, and now I got to put together a budget, and my wife always did the budget, and it's like, okay, yes, that's probably true. Another reason why you should take those 4 seasons and take one of those things. You don't have to do it all at once, right? Now you're going to have to keep parenting the whole time. Okay, I hope. But take one, the physical fitness, like you said, Rick. Amen. It is the easiest, fastest thing to start having some immediate results for your mental, emotional, for your physical. Like it will impact everything else. So just start small, and that can be like it can just be starting walks. Some guys that I work with, I'm like, all right, you're just going to walk 15 minutes today. That's it. Yeah. That's all you're going to start. That's all you're going to start doing, and you're going to get up 5 minutes earlier, something like that. So you don't have to do it all once. You're not going to, and this is a big thing that I get with a lot of the divorced dads, because we're fixers. We're men, right? We want to fix stuff. So immediately post divorce, it's like, I'm changing my whole life. I'm fixing everything. Like they get in men's groups and they do this, and they're like subscribed to all of that and everything else. And it's like, slow down, guys. Like you're not gonna, and then I'm going to go find the new wife. It's like, no. Slow down. These 3 pillars that we're talking about here. Take one. For it, what's the saying, guys? It takes 21 days to change a habit and 90 days to change your life, like make a lifestyle change, right?
Yep. The coaching I do is built on the idea that there's 8 different areas of life, and you can pick one that has leverage that can bring up the other ones. A rising tide brings up other boats. Good one. So if you work on your physical health, often it helps with your social life. And it brings that confidence to your job, and it affects everything. So the other one is social. And so we're sitting here, I really want to emphasize what you just said, Jude. Take your time. We're 3 guys sitting here, throwing advice at you, but it is 4 seasons. It's a good 12 months of don't beat yourself up over, I got to do all this right now. So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is I don't think any of us are suggesting don't talk to women or avoid women or throw yourself up in the house. I think we're just saying, don't jump to that next relationship, right? Like you can be social. Even Dallas and I have talked on other episodes of recreational dating and doing that. Like that's healthy, right? Like you want to be testing that, having warm interactions with everybody in your life, including members of the opposite sex. Like that's all good. Just don't jump into that relationship because it's going to be disappointing. Taking it back to what we were talking about, that will create more anxiety. That's going to make you feel like crap. You talked about, well, both of you talked about like the ups and downs or the disappointment cycle or I hear this all the time. Well, I'm not dating. It's been awful. It's awful dating out there. Like you get all this doom and gloom, and it's like, come on. Like it's really not, but that's because you haven't done the work yourself. Like, so you'll avoid all those ups and downs if you have built that foundation. Cause like then Dallas says, well, while you might take, and I guess a hit is not really a good word for it, right, Dallas? It's just like reflection when a relationship ends. Like that's how I feel now. Before it was I felt like I was taking a confidence hit. Now I feel like, well, it's an opportunity for me to reflect, but I don't take a hit, right? So you got to get to that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when we're, this episode's talking about, performance and how it's a bad thing.
Right.
And I want to reframe it here. How when you take that first year and you're getting back to basics, where you're working out, you're doing exercises, you're connecting with your kids, you're creating stability, that is actually genuine, real performance.
Yeah.
You're
Hey, there you
establishing an individual performance level, and you're a winner on a first person level.
Yeah.
You're doing it privately. Nobody's looking, but you know that you've gone to the gym 50 weeks in a row over the last year because you took 2 off to go to Maui or something. But but you know that you're doing that. And then when you show up to the date, you're not then beginning a performance. You're demonstrating a high performance level that you've had as an individual man by yourself individually.
Yeah.
And Jude, I can totally hear and see all the guys rolling their eyes and like, oh, I have to do all this work. You have to do all this work.
Yeah.
Well, let's just make it clear. If you want masculine energy that is sexy and appealing, not just to women, but to everyone, that comes from discipline.
Yeah.
Doing the work by itself, achieving a level of performance to the point where you're winning requires discipline. All masculinity comes from discipline. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah. You got to drive to that outcome, that purpose. If you don't mind, I'd like to share the other diagram, the feminine diagram, because it's completely different than the masculine. It's pretty simple.
You're saying, so Rick, hold on. You're saying there's differences between men and women and masculine and feminine?
Crazy.
No. There's differences between diagrams about men and
diagrams about them. Got
these
it.
are just pictures.
Thanks, Dallas. I just, sometimes it's confusing out there.
Yeah. Same colors, though. So the feminine like to have experiences. And they'll remember the experiences. There were colors, there was food, there were people, there were conversations, all the aspects of that experience. And then they want to have feelings and emotions about that experience. And they want to reprocess those emotions. So they talk about it, they think about it, they write about it. And those emotions lead to the next experience and then the next one and the next one. And it's a completely different, and it can seem a little chaotic from the outside as a masculine person. But when you put the two together, it works. The masculine is driving in a direction and the feminine is creating experiences, and you put the two together, it is pretty amazing. And so I wanted to share that because the feminine is looking for a guide, guiding masculinity going somewhere. And the masculinity is wanting to create purpose that feeds and pleases the feminine. And so that's just my take on it. But good, healthy masculinity wants good outcomes for the feminine. And that's how they work together. And so creating experiences is core, I believe. This is a question for Dallas. Creating experiences for the feminine is what creates successful dating.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Absolutely. There's a bunch of things that tie in. So one of them is I talk with my clients about how the masculine is the author and the feminine is the editor.
Got it.
Our job is from scratch to create, design a date, invite her to it, all of that. We're writing it from there. And then we leave it up to her to edit and change according to her preferences, to tweak the experience. And in order to have a really good story, a really good book, you need both an author and an editor involved. The author by himself is only going to come up with a so-so book. The editor doesn't have any raw material to work with.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is I talk with men that women respond to the experience they have in your presence. I agree that the events are the experience that she's happening, but on an even more fundamental level, what is the experience I have in this man's company? I show up and he's nervous, he's performing, he feels he has to prove something. That's not an experience that most women want to have again, because that's going to spin up their nervous energy through the mirroring and through the, just being in the company of it, that'll spin up their own nervous energy. When the man shows up with some deep free agent performance where he's really achieved things, her experience is going to be relaxed. She's going to feel calm and regulated in his presence. She's going, and particularly if he has reached a level of achievement in his own life where he can laugh at himself, where because humor really is a sign that I've got nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
There's clowning, which is different. But when I can genuinely laugh at myself because everything's taken care of in my life. I just had the oil changed in my car. I've got a bunch of money in the account, and I've been working out like crazy and eating well so I can have these hot wings and not worry about it, followed by cheesecake and all the beer I want, and I can laugh about it because this is my feasting moment. Well, that part of the experience, she's gonna be like, wow, if I snuggle up with this guy, man, I get to relax. I get to have this experience. And then within the container, she can then edit that experience and, color it different colors and, prepare a picnic basket to bring with it and go off on weird tangents, on the road trip. And that's, and that experience. But her, a lot of guys think a woman wants a resume.
Right.
That I need to have, 6-pack abs, 6 feet tall, 6-figure income. There's a bunch of other things. And if I bring this resume, she's going to like me. She's going to say yes. And it's like, and women might even tell us this, but stated preferences versus revealed preferences.
Right.
When you're actually there, the woman goes for the other guy that just made them laugh. Well, what was her experience with the man that made her laugh versus the guy that was so serious and nervous and hoping he gets the job based on his resume?
Yeah. There is a whole other component we're leaving out, and that is that the other person across the table at the date has also gone through a breakup of some kind, potentially a divorce, and has kids, and is dealing with a lot of the same stuff we're talking about from the feminine side. Mm-hmm. And if you want to get really serious with that person, you're going to encounter their constraints and their stories and all of that they're working on as well. So it's just another reason to potentially hold off from getting serious.
Well, and let's talk about that too, Rick, because that's a really great point. Is we're all a work in progress in general, right? No matter where we're at. How do you communicate with somebody? So what Dallas just described, I love how Dallas describes things because it's what I aspire to be every time, right? Like when you describe the life, okay, but I'm not there. Right. There's so many parts of my life I'm still working on one. How do you do that post-divorce and describe that without trauma dumping or like whatever else to somebody that that you are that masculine, that you are working towards something, but you might not be there yet. I don't think we're ever fully there, right? We shouldn't ever fully be there. If we're in our masculine, we should always be striving and working. But how do we do that? How do we describe that post-divorce in conversation without sounding, like we don't have our what together?
What we're really talking about, we haven't brought up the word authentic. It gets used a lot, but I'm just going to say I'm a big proponent of just being completely honest and but this is where I'm at, and this is why I'm dating. That's what I hope to get out of it. And you don't have to say much more than that unless you get asked questions. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's what you're asking.
Well, Dallas knows I really need really specific rules and scripts and directions. So give me a script, Dallas.
What am I giving you a script to? I think
No. How do we convey that? How do we convey that to? So Rick brought up the point that we're sitting across from somebody that's going through, likely maybe even gone through a divorce like us, that is having the same challenges, and we are post-divorce, and our life feels like chaos. We're working on our masculine, everything we just described, but we're starting to date, but we want to let them. We want to be authentic. The word that Rick was bringing up about where we're at, but not sound like not be trauma dumping or just like or performative. Like we're talking about, like we're not performing or we're not faking it, so we're making it like we're being authentic.
I got a script,
but still masculine.
Yeah,
I do. I do.
Yeah. Rick, you work with couples also, right?
I do.
In relationship. Yeah. So let's reverse engineer this.
Okay.
So when there's a couple and the people are not being authentic with each other, how do you help them be authentic? Because I think being authentic with a stranger or someone that you've only met on a couple of dates is probably even more challenging. Well, I don't know. They both have their challenges. But let's start maybe with how you help people be authentic in some of the couples work that you do.
Yeah, here's a great question to ask yourself. What's at risk if you say what the thing you don't want to say? What could happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? And unless we'll just sort of explore that, it's probably not going to be that bad in real life. But that's where most people get stuck. What's the risk? And
no sex tonight. That's the risk.
Yeah. Or this person doesn't like me, or won't go out with me again.
Yeah. And surprising, maybe it's not surprising. That's the same issue that most guys have in their marriage as well. Not going to have sex tonight, and we're going to have conflict. And tomorrow, it's going to be grumpy time in the house. And so, that's the risk. But it's actually it's deeper than that. Just saying the words, but sex is one of those things that has, for guys, it communicates. You're the guy. I've picked you. And everything about you is good enough to be here in this moment and have sex. And in a marriage, for a lot of guys, that's what they're living for. But if they've developed their stability for themselves, they've got their physical health in place, their kids are good, the relationship is good enough. If they've got that stability, they're not so reliant on sex as the main part of the meal, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it puts them at risk that I'm just after sex. And that puts a guy at a lot of risk, that he's thinking there's a lot of risk here. If I say things the wrong way, I'm going to lose out. And that's not, I don't know. Dallas, Dallas knows how to articulate what I'm saying. I can tell.
I think so. Well, I think what it is they're setting sex up as the single point of failure in their happiness system.
Yes.
And you don't ever, as a man, like if you've got one point that you're relying on, like you're, 2 is 1, 1 is none, 3's for me in any survival scenario. I don't want one single point of failure. I want to, and I think here, honestly, we're talking about the reward survival system of the dopamine in the body.
Yes.
Sex is a very, very powerful source of dopamine for men.
Yeah.
And, and there's the phasic dopamine, which is the spikes, the quick hits that we get that come from, junk food, alcohol, video games, pornography, and sex. And then there's the tonic dopamine system that is much more grounded and healthy. It's sort of the complex carbohydrates as opposed to the sugary carbohydrates. Yeah. And when you have that masculine energy engaged in yourself, and you're drawing the desire from your wife or your partner or your date to have sex with you, when you're drawing them towards you, that actually creates a more healthy, balanced cocktail in the reward system, because the desire from her means that you're not grabbing after you're not trying to get a quick hit where you can. You've got a very complex source of things. If you came to that date, or let's say in the marriage, if you're coming to that discussion at the end of the day after you've been to the gym, you are coming there with a whole different level of groundedness and authenticity. And I think I'd love to know what you have to say about this, Rick. But I know for me, like right now, I am currently downstairs redoing flooring in my condo.
Oh, nice.
And it is one of the most grueling processes. It was a glued down laminate, and I've been scraping it up and I'm laying it, and I'm doing it by myself, which is like extra slow and grueling. Yeah. But there is something so just ready to be honest when I'm done. I just, dealing with conflict, there was some text messages, that like I need to reply to. And after I worked, I was like, let's just tell the truth here. This feels a little stressful to me because of this and that. And I lay it out. And the response I get is, thank you for just telling me the truth. Yeah. What I get is a thank you. Yeah. And I got to say, like, as a man, I think what most of us want to hear is thank you for being the way you are, like appreciating the fact that, like, first of all, thank you for like doing flooring. Like, that's awesome, And then 2, thank you for being honest, for being authentic. And here's the last thing. I feel like I'm going in a lot of directions here. The other thing that I tell men is the clients I work with is that the feminine is inherently more vulnerable in life. And we forget that all the time as guys because we're not getting the wow that we want. You got to remember that women are in a more vulnerable place. So we need to lead. We need to put ourselves out there first. And whoever goes first in that vulnerability of the authenticity, you're kind of the hero.
Yeah.
When you're the one going, you know what, can I, like a script here, Jude, it's like, can I be honest for a minute? This is what I would say with somebody. Can I be honest with you for a minute? Can I tell you what it is I really want here? Like all this other stuff doesn't really matter. You know what I really want is this. What really matters to me is this. When I cut through the crap and I'm vulnerable that way, that just, it burns off all the fog.
Yeah.
And we're in a good place. And then if I went there first of all, in myself, I feel proud and good and clean. I've got no regrets afterward because I went there and I said what I wanted to say.
Right.
And then secondly, looking back on it, I mean, like, I love that I can count on this man to break ground and go there first.
Yeah.
Right. And we're not saying, like, when we say vulnerability, it doesn't mean that you're just dumping all of, like, you're not having a therapy session, right? The being vulnerable is saying, hey, I'm not, my finances aren't quite where I want them to be yet. I'm rebuilding and, I'm doing this, or I've started this business, or I'm working or doing whatever to do that. But to your point, Dallas, that's being in your masculine helps you to just do that. You just do. We do, right? You just do that. So if you are surrounding all of your life with the masculine things, like you're talking about doing flooring or whatever that might be. So with divorce, this gives you guys, your life is going to look different than it does now in 12 months.
Yeah,
just
for sure.
It's going to. It's already changing. It's probably in the middle of chaos. It's going to change. You have the ability to decide which direction you want that to go and how you want that to change.
Right.
So get into that. Your masculine. That's an opportunity for maybe if you liked home improvements and you didn't do those before, start doing those again. If you liked motorcycle, I bought a motorcycle.
Hey,
so to teach my daughters how to ride a motorcycle. We're going to Moab this weekend, right?
Nice.
My buddy came over and we had to put it together. We built a motorcycle on Monday.
Nice.
So, and I was like, this is so much fun. It was frustrating, a little parts of it, but we're done. And it's like, this was so much fun. And I tell you what, it's going to be so much fun putting my daughters on that and teaching them how to ride a motorcycle because here's a little side tip that dads don't ever let your daughters get on a motorcycle with a guy. Okay. Anyway, that's just something, just a dad tip there. But my point being, get into your masculine, like you said, Dallas, all these points, because all these points then help you to show up to that date. And I also wanted to bring in, we talked about codependency and guys that are giving love, which I think was what you were describing, Dallas, like we're giving in order to get back. Stop that. If you're creating this life, if you're creating all these points, like you said, one failure point of her not liking you or didn't like how you bite your hair or whatever is not going to wreck your life, because there's going to be another one that's going to go, wow, he's awesome. I want him. Right. And that's the one you're looking for. Trust me.
So there's some natural tension. I just we've already said it, but I'll say it again, that there is some timing that has to happen here. Coming right off a divorce, a lot of guys, they don't have the finances. They're living in the basement of their marital home or whatever. And the story that they have to tell, if they're going to be honest on a date, is not a story that they want to share. And I get that. And that's just the reality of coming off a divorce. And so that's probably a good reason to wait, unless you're going to be really honest and say, you know what, I'm dating just to have fun. And if that's what it is, then be honest.
Right.
So, I get asked that question. Well, what do I say? I don't, this is my life right now and it sucks. So what am I supposed to say?
Well,
this is my life and it sucks.
That's what
you say.
Well, and it does, but I do
want to make
there's
out?
a way we can.
It'll make my life better.
Yeah.
Hey, never know. Shoot your shot.
So when it comes to the finances, I think there is a way to slightly reframe this. Somebody who's sitting on, a trust fund, okay, they've got a bunch of money. That's great. Well, net worth is only one thing. Are you coming away each month, each year with a net gain or a net loss? That's a whole different metric. There are people with a bunch of money that are slowly draining it because they're not being productive. And those men are not particularly masculine in the process because they're not producing anything.
Yeah.
If, however, I just went through a divorce and I basically, like surfing term, I had a wipeout. Like I got knocked off my board, smacked on the sand at the bottom of the ocean. I'm like, ow.
Yeah.
Come back. Yeah. I got to take a breather for a second here. I had a wipeout. That doesn't mean I'm not a flipping surfer. That doesn't mean that I'm going to give up on the waves. That's part of what happens. And I think, when you bring to it, it's like, well, I just went through a divorce. So, I had a bit of a wipeout there financially, but I'm on track and I'm going and I'm rebuilding and I'm going where I want to go. Women don't necessarily, women care about the net worth, but more than that, they care about a man that's going somewhere with his finances.
Right.
What they want to know is that I'm providing a surplus every month. They know that that's what's really important. So when you present to them, it's like, I've got about $8,000 in my savings account right now. Like that's my total net worth. However, I'm adding to that $800 a month because I'm on a budget and I'm with the kids and we're making good decisions. It's like, that is something to be proud of.
Yeah.
That is exercising discipline. And any woman that listens to it, particularly if she's been through a divorce, she knows what the wipeout is. She knows it's traumatic. But if you're like, no, but I'm a guy that gets back up, gets in the saddle, and gets going in the direction that he wants to do. Because to your diagram, Rick, I don't stop moving. Right. And I don't start picking directions. And I'm going to keep going there no matter how much this stuff gets thrown in my face.
Right.
Yeah. So we're coming up on time here, guys. I wanted to end on us giving what I'm calling a stability audit for the dads listening, and that is that each one of us is going to share one thing that the dads can check on this week that is showing that they're stabilizing. And I'll start while you guys think. And that for me is, are you making your bed every morning? It's very again, starting simple, right? Is your life in chaos? You got to get up. You're trying to figure out how to get breakfast for the kids and then get to work and then pick them up. And then the car doesn't start. And like, okay, but did you make your bed? Because that's one stable thing that you can do that is going to just provide a nice environment in your room. It's also going to demonstrate to your children that you are creating a nice environment, that you are stable, that you are structured and disciplined. It sounds so stupid and so simple, but it is absolutely demonstrating so many things to yourself and to your family to do. So that is my stability audit. Are you making your bed every single morning when you get up?
I like it. Yep.
Rick?
Yep. So on a date, how about this? On a date, give her the space to be able to say what she wants to say and reiterate the experience. A lot of guys believe that filling the space with talking, especially talking about their sports or whatever interests them, is a good date. And there is a quiet power to just being a good listener. And it's very powerful on dates. And to be able to do it requires that kind of confidence that comes from stability, meaning I'm good. I don't need to say everything about everything. I'm good. So how about you? How are you doing?
Right.
Yeah, and listening is an excellent antidote to needing to perform.
Yeah. Great point. Yeah, great point. Yeah. Dallas, your stability audit.
Okay, for me, the most stabilizing activity I do is being grateful for something.
Yeah,
and
good one.
I would say for the dads out there, tell your children how grateful you are to have them in your life.
Yeah.
Tell them, and when they're not there, make the gratitude statement. I'm grateful that my children are healthy. I'm grateful that my children are still in the same state as me. I'm grateful that I get to see my kids as much as I do. Whatever it is. Yeah. Of course, we can look at that the negative way, all the stuff you're not getting with them, but to look at it from the positive, grateful side, gratitude is what transforms the experience, or I should say what chooses our experience from the event that happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. And nothing stabilizes me more than practicing and particularly articulating gratitude.
Yeah.
Good stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Rick, thank you so much for being here. Share with the dads how they can touch base with you.
Okay. It's a bit of a long URL, but here it goes. map.lifemaps.online/podcast. I built a landing page just for us, and people can get on there and sign up and do this session with me where we go through the 8 areas of your life and find that one leverage area that can bring up all the other areas. And if you don't want to do that, you can get a guide and learn about it. So map.lifemaps.online/podcast. Otherwise,
got it.
My counseling is touchbasecounseling.com.
Awesome.
Honestly, I love doing coaching. Counseling's good.
Yeah.
Coaching's better.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and again, guys, if you don't like any of the jokes that you heard today or ever, touch base with Rick. If you had a bad experience dating and you're blaming Dallas and I, just contact Rick and let him know, because it's all his fault. So
that's right.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much, Rick. It's such a pleasure to have you, and take care.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming on, Rick.
All right.
Be the hero of your own movie. If your life was a movie and it started now, forget about whatever financial disasters you've had, personal failures, relationship